Hello Year 3 and welcome back to week 2 of our unit on traditional tales, which means this is our shared write and our innovate week. So we are going to be putting our own twist on the tale of the three little pigs. Now, there is a bonus storytelling video for you in this lesson, so make sure you click on the link on your home learning worksheet because that is going to give you a huge clue as to how we are going to change the tale of the three little pigs, which I'm very excited about. So before we get started with the lesson, can you please make sure that you have got your Do Now ready, so you can either download the worksheet from your home learning sheet, or you can just have a pen and a piece of paper at the ready. Either way will be absolutely fine. So pause the video if you need some time to get your things sorted. Otherwise, I am going to go straight into showing you what I would like you to do. So, wow, 1st of February already. So I have given you a text there, a few sentences, but again, I have been very lazy and very reckless and have put in lots of spelling mistakes. So I'm going to read out the text to you so you know what it should sound like, and then I want you to pause the video, which is why I've got that big pause button here, and I would like you to read through yourself again and edit for any errors. Now, if you've got the worksheet, just write on the worksheet itself and do any corrections, but if you don't, please don't write out the whole thing, just write out any corrections on a piece of paper. So the text goes as follows. Sam was so confused as he read his new book because the words were very long and there were many he had never seen before. He showed his mother the book and said, "I don't know these tricky words at all." His mother smiled and said, "You shouldn't worry. Maybe ask your teacher for a less difficult book." Sam nodded and took out his math homework instead. So pause the video now, have a look for any spelling errors, and press play when you are ready for me to go through the answers. Okay, so I'm about to go through the answers, so make sure you have paused. Okay, so let's read it through. You can either pause the video and just compare against what you did, or you can listen to me read. Feel free to fast forward if you already have edited. So Sam was spelled incorrectly. Was should be spelled W-A-S. So confused, the Z should have been an S, as he read his new book. Look at a book, so double O, because, silent E on the end, the words were, silent E on the end, very, so the E sound comes from a Y, long, and there were, again, many, again, that Y sound, he had never, so after the V you had an E, seen before, E on the end. So I'll give you a few seconds just to check through that. Pause the video if you need some more time. He showed, past tense, so that needed an ED at the end, his mother the book, we've already corrected, and said, "I don't know these tricky has both a curly and a kinker, words at all." His mother needed an O, not a U, smiled and said, "You shouldn't worry." Again, really pushing that E sound on the end of words, which is actually the letter Y. Maybe, again, E on the end, ask your teacher for a less difficult book. Sam nodded and took, similar to book, look at a book, double O, out his maths homework instead. So I hope you spotted all those errors, and hopefully we won't see any of those in your writing. So today, as we start writing our tale of the three little pigs, or perhaps the three little something else, we are going to be looking at using repetition for effect. Now, quick recap, the reason we are really looking at using repetition is because traditional tales use deliberate repetition, meaning we're using it on purpose to engage younger readers and help them remember the plot, so what happened in the story. So what's repeated in the three little pigs? Now, we did this last week, so I'm hoping you remember. So press pause now and have a think, talk to your partner, and press play when you are ready for me to give you some ideas. Okay, so the things I came up with. Characters, you've got the three little pigs. The main character is repeated 3 times. What each character does, each of them builds a house out of a different material. Again, repeated. Who comes along to each pig? The villain. Same thing happening. There's a pig, he builds a house, the big bad wolf comes along. What do they say? Now, both the pigs and the wolves repeat things. The wolf says things like, little pig, let me come in." The pigs say, "Not by the hair of my..." Really hope you joined in there. And I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. All of those things get repeated. So it's almost like the same mini story happening in this traditional tale. Now, this is really important because this is going to help us know what we can change, but keep repeating in our story. So how are we going to innovate the Three Little Pigs? Well, we are going to be swapping characters around. So we are going to be writing the tale of the Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. So that's why I would really like you now, if you haven't already, pause the video and go and watch my reading video. If not, wait till the end, that's absolutely fine. And we're also going to change the materials of the houses and possibly how the Big Bad Pig is going to destroy our wolves' homes. So just so we have a quick recap of the story so far, this is the original version that we looked at last week. So I'm going to give you some time now just to pause the video and read that first section, because this is what we're going to change. I'm not going to read it for you, so make sure you give yourself time to go through it and refresh your memory so that you're ready to go on to the next bit. Okay, hopefully you managed to read that. So what happens in the first paragraph or first section of our story? Well, the three little wolves want to leave home. Two, the wolves are now going to build similar houses. So we're going to have three wolves who want to leave home. Two of them are going to build similar houses, which are probably built out of weaker material, and then the third wolf is going to be a little bit smarter and build a different type of house, so perhaps made out of a stronger material. So these are the three things we are going to write about today. So here's where we can come up with some ideas. So in the original story, once upon a time, there lived three little pigs. One day they decided to leave their dear mothers and build houses of their own. So I can change the way I start that sentence. I can keep using once upon a time, because once upon a time is a very fairy tale-like sentence to use. Or I could say something like in evergreen forest, or a long time ago there lived. So I'm really pushing across this idea that this is a traditional tale. So I might say something like, in an evergreen forest there lived three little wolves. And then instead of one day, I can change that adverb of time. One summery day, on a sweet spring morning. So loads of ideas we can use here. What I'm going to ask you to do is, in our first couple of sentences, we are going to introduce our characters and show that they want to leave home. So you have got your box up. So this is where you can write all your lovely ideas. So for mine, I have got the evergreen forest. I think that was a really nice opener. And I think I'm going to say a spring morning is when the three little wolves are going to leave. Now you can see I have written about my main character leaving home, and then I need two characters to build a similar house. So I've numbered house 1 and number 2, and then house number 3. So I'm going to leave that for a second because I'm just going to write the first few sentences. So before I do that, I can have a think about what I could get my wolves to build their houses from. So if I quickly skim through the original story, the first little pig thought that straw would make a good house. The second little pig thought that sticks would make a fine house. And I'm just going to underline that so it's easier for you guys to spot. So first was straw, second was sticks, and the third was stainless steel. So the first two houses are quite weak, and the third house is quite strong. So what could our wolves build their houses from? Pause the video here, have a think, and then press play when you're ready to reveal my ideas. Okay, so when I was thinking, this was quite tricky, and I bet you guys came up with so many more ideas than I did. But for weak materials for the houses to be built out of, I thought perhaps cardboard or even Lego bricks, because even though Lego bricks are made out of plastic, which is quite tough, I was thinking it is still quite easy to take apart somehow. And then for something quite strong, I really like that idea of metal, so I also thought of titanium and perhaps concrete if I wanted to change it up a bit. So in my box up now, I know where I've set my story, when the three little wolves want to leave home, and now I'm going to write what their houses were made out of. So house number 1, I think I'm going to go for cardboard. House number 2, I think I'm going to go for the Lego bricks. And house number 3, I'm going to go for concrete, I think. So pause the video here and make sure you've got everything you want in your box up. What 3 characters are you going to have? What are their houses going to be made out of? And if you want, a bit of introductory sentences such as once upon a time or where they are living or even when they want to leave home. Okay, so now is the fun. Now that I know what my ideas are, I can start writing. So I'm going to switch over my camera and show you how I would write this. So hopefully, yes, you can see that. Lovely. So I've got my title, which is The Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. Now I've done in sections what I need in my first paragraph. So I've got main characters leave home, 2 characters build weak house, and a 3rd character builds a strong house. And just so I remember, I've written repetition of sentences. So I've got to get that in. That's my step to success today. I'm just going to write that there so I remember. So looking back at what my box up was, I thought I was going to start with in an evergreen forest. So do you know what? I think I'm going to continue with Once Upon a Time. So once upon, and I'm really looking to see that people are using their great handwriting. Once upon a time, there lived, past tense, so ed, 3 little wolves in an evergreen, what can you see? Forest. And what do I need at the end of my sentence? A full stop. So remember, Miss Chowdhury's tip is once you have written a sentence, read it back. Once upon a time, there. Oh, I think that actually might be the wrong kind of there. When I'm editing, I think I might change the color I'm using. Let's go for a purple. That kind of there is when it belongs to someone. I want there as in place. So I think it's actually R-E, not I-R. Once upon a time, there lived 3 little wolves in an evergreen forest. So not an I, an E, forest. Okay, so I need to make sure that the main characters leave home. So I think I said one sweet spring morning, capital. One sweet, comma, spring morning. They, and because that's an adverb time, I need a comma. One sweet spring morning, they decided to, I'm going to use the phrase up sticks. When you up sticks, it means you're moving to up sticks to cuz and leave home. Don't forget that O phone, home. Okay, so once upon a time there lived 3 little wolves in an evergreen forest. One sweet spring morning they decided to up sticks and leave home. So have my main characters left home? Yes, they have. So I'm going to give that a big old tick. Oh, my wire showed there. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, much better. So now my next section is the 2 characters build their houses out of a weak material. So I said cardboard and Lego house. Now remember, we are trying to repeat our sentences. So however I lay out this first section is going to be how the second character reads as well. So the first little wolf built, not builded, so past tense of build is built. The first little wolf built his home out of cardboard. In no time at all. Now remember the original story, the pigs are very chuffed or they're very proud of their efforts. So the first little wolf built his home out of cardboard in no time at all. He was very impressed. I'm going to show that here, please. He was very impressed and felt right at home. Okay, so I'm going to read that and make sure that I have written about a character building a house out of weak material. That's my second bit. The first little wolf built his home out of cardboard in no time at all. He was very impressed and felt right. Oh, right is wrong, isn't it? That should be Igh. I-G-H-T. Right at home. Oh dear. E on the end and a full stop. Okay, so now this is going to set the template for how I write about my second character. So the second little wolf, and you don't have to write little, you can write tiny, small, young. The second little wolf built his home, and some of you might be thinking, oh, this sounds so babyish, but remember, this is a story for younger children, so if it does sound a little bit less complicated than what you're used to writing, it's because we're writing for an audience now. So we've been given the task of writing a story for a young child. So we need to make sure that we are writing to suit them. He was very impressed and felt right at home. The second little wolf built his home out of Lego bricks. Again, in no time at all. So I'm getting that repetition in. I smile at all. And then what did I say for the first one? He was very impressed and felt right at home. So again, he was also very impressed. Two S's, and today I am impressed. Yesterday I am impressed. So it needs an ED on the end because that's past tense. He was also very impressed and felt right at home. I'm not going to forget that E this time. Okay, so let's read those two characters building their weak houses and see if I've got my repetition in. The first little wolf built his home out of cardboard in no time at all. He was very impressed and felt right at home. The second little wolf built his... Ooh, good thing I read that back because I've just spotted two major mistakes. Little needs an E on the end, and wolf, oh, not an U, even though it sounds like it would have a U. The second little wolf built his home out of Lego bricks in no time at all. Oh, goodness me, so many mistakes here. I bet you're all spotting them before I am. He was also very impressed and felt right at home. Brilliant. And have I got that repetition in? Absolutely. So I've already met my step to success here. Okay, now the third section is the third character building his strong house. So I'm just going to give myself some more room to write here. So the third, you see that? Good. The third little pig, decided, so I can change this slightly because remember this third pig is slightly different to the other two. We want him to stand out just a little bit so that the younger children understand that perhaps something different is going to happen to this character. The third little pig decided, however, that's a good conjunction to use to show that, ooh, actually something different is happening here. The third little pig decided, however, to build his house out of concrete. And I might say it took a long this one because I've already repeated it longer and his brothers, but soon he felt right at home, but soon he felt right at home. Okay, so let's read my third character. The third little pig decided, however, to build his house out of concrete. It took a little longer than his brothers. Oops, Daisy. Is it a U? No, it should be an O. But soon he felt right at home. Okay, so let's go through and see if I've got everything. Had to use repetition of sentences. Let's see if I've got that in. And firstly, main characters leave home. Once upon a time, there lived 3 little wolves in an evergreen forest. One sweet spring morning, they decided to up sticks and leave home. The first little wolf built his home out of cardboard in no time at all. He was very impressed and felt right at home. The second little wolf built his home out of Lego bricks in no time at all. He was also very impressed and felt right at home. Okay, so I've got my two characters building their weak houses. How have I got my third character building their strong house? The third little pig decided, however, to build his house out of concrete. It took a little longer than his brothers, but soon he felt right at home. And again, glad I did a double check because I missed a T on right. Easy mistake to make, but even easier to spot. My strong house. When you check your work is to have a go at writing your first section. So you are just going to identify who your characters are, what they're going to build their houses out of, and then write those few sentences. So just 3 things to include. Who are your main characters? 2 characters build weak houses, and a 3rd character builds a stronger house. So I hope you enjoy the tale of the 3 little wolves and the big bad pig, and I look forward to seeing your fantastic uploads on Seesaw soon.